Lawmakers on Capitol Hill aren't the only ones pushing for more information on UFOs. Any day now, we're going to learn more about how NASA plans to study them. The space agency held an historic public meeting back in May to discuss the results of its 9-month investigation. It plans to release the full report of its findings by the end of this month. The report will outline how to study UFOs using the technology and data that we already have. Joining us now is former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino. Good to have you here. He's also Columbia University professor and New York Times bestselling author. His new book, Moonshot, A NASA Astronaut's Guide to Achieving the Impossible, is available for pre-order. Now, did you bring my copy?
No, but I'll bring you one.
Okay.
It's not out yet.
I'm going to buy one.
That's very kind of you to plug it. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Good.
All right, so what'd you make of the hearings?
I thought it was interesting. I think the people are definitely interested in what's happening. It was a little disappointing with the big claims about the alien spaceship and so on. It would have been great to hear more if there was real evidence about that. But I think certainly looking at the UAPs that they call them now, the unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Did they just try and come up with something to make it sound
It's a little disappointing. UFO was a lot cooler, I think. That would have been better. But I'm excited about the panel that NASA has put together and what they're going to show. That's a really good panel. One of my friends, Scott Kelly, one of my colleagues, my astronaut classmates, is part of that, as well as Matt Mountain, who is the director of the Space Telescope Science Institute for the Hubble data and the James Webb data coming down is handled by that institute. So these are some really highly qualified people that are looking at this.
NASA is putting its final touches on this report that it's going to release. We do know that of the 800 UFO or UAP sightings that NASA studied, around 5%, 2 to 5% remain unexplained.
Yeah.
So there is something.
Yeah, it is something. People are definitely seeing things, but it's very credible when some of our military pilots and people who are out there seeing these things and can photograph things and we're not really sure what they are certainly seeing things. Most of these things can be explained. 95 to 98% of them either is some sort of weather phenomenon or a balloon or a drone, which I think is important to understand that too, because there's things flying around our planet that we're not necessarily sure what it is. They could become a hazard for aircraft or for people in general. So I think it's a good idea to understand what those things are. Some of them are illusions, optical illusions. Happened to an astronaut friend of mine. Thought he saw something and it wasn't. It could be explained just the way he was looking at things. Sometimes we see optical illusions. But as you said, Elizabeth, there's that 2 to 5% that could be really interesting because we don't know what they are. They can't be explained. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily ET coming to visit, but it is something that might be particularly interesting.
NASA has said to date it has found no credible evidence of any extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
But I do ask, where is it looking? I mean...
Yeah, that's part. You see, I do believe that there's life out there somewhere, and I think most people do.
It's hard to imagine that, in the universe that we're trying to show
beautiful background
behind us.
There are billions of galaxies with billions of stars in each, most of which have multiple planets around them. There probably is something else out there. So what they've been looking for is signs of a planet or something that would be similar to what we know. So we're looking at things that we know about. We're looking for signs of water, of organic materials. We've talked about that. So that's what they're searching for.
But wait, they have. I can't come up with a fraction small enough to show the amount of the universe that NASA has studied.
That's right, because it's so immense, and so it's probably more likely if there's an advanced civilization somewhere. There are stars around us that are billions of years older and billions of years younger. So if you look at the stars that are billions of years older, that means that if you think of life the way it formed here, they're a billion years ahead of us. Right. They should figure out how to come visit. So I think that's more. That's probably what's going to happen. Is that if it's going to happen anytime soon, it's going to be some aliens who are much more advanced than we are, and there's no evidence that has happened yet. But it's an interesting proposition, and they're looking at it scientifically. I really am excited to see what that NASA panel is going to look at, because they're looking at things like that. What would be possible? Where should we be looking? how can we detect the technology we have now? We can identify things that we didn't know what they were. Flashes in the sky that we now know were sprites. They didn't know what they were. They saw these flashes in the sky years ago, and now we know that it's due to thunderstorm activity, electrical activity in the atmosphere. Okay. So we're learning more and more about these things.
We will have you back when the report comes out.
I can't wait to see what they come up with.
I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Hope we don't get disappointed.
Make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Mike, astronaut Mike. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So we could just be days away from a major step toward the push forward in UFO transparency. Tomorrow, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform will receive a SCIF briefing from UFO experts. As you may recall, a SCIF is a highly secure room where lawmakers can share classified information and hear it. That meeting will then be followed by a roundtable with experts and then a full committee hearing sometime next month. And if that wasn't enough, the National Archives updated its website last week with a button now on its website for all UFO-related documents to live in one place. So the question tonight is, did they release any new files that reveal anything big, or is it just more of what we already know about unidentified aerial phenomenon? Joining me now on the phone is Ryan Graves. He's the first active duty pilot to come forward publicly about UFO sightings. He's also the founder of Americans for Safe Aerospace. Ryan, great to have you here. First of all, who are the UFO experts who are going to be giving this very classified or secure briefing tomorrow in the SCIF? Do you know?
I don't know, and I think that's a very good question. I think a lot of what is going to be done in Congress in the near future is going to be informed from the education that Mr. David Grush is going to be able to provide the Congress people that he's now working with. So I expect that the experts will come as people that David Grush advised to potentially be on that board. And I think, based off of the testimony that David Grush made in 2023, he seemed to indicate that he had key knowledge about individuals and stakeholders and organizations, and I would expect that some of these experts may come from some of those organizations.
Right. David Grush is the person who kind of blew the lid off this whole thing when he came forward and said that there was a top secret government program that had retrieved alien remains of beings not of this world, as well as craft that were not from planet Earth. But after this bombshell interview here on NewsNation and then his bombshell testimony in Congress, where he had to answer a lot of questions by saying, I can't tell you unless we're in a SCIF, we haven't heard much else. Do you think finally with these hearings, starting with the SCIF briefing tomorrow and the hearings scheduled next month, that we will begin to hear more about this, or is this something that will remain top secret?
Well, I'm not sure whether David Grush will be a participant in those upcoming SCIF briefs, but I'm confident that he has already had the ability to pass the information that he knows in a secure environment, in a SCIF, recently, now that he's been employed as a staffer on that Congressional task force. Now, whether that information comes out of those hearings and immediately comes to the American people, I would suggest it will not. However, it will better arm the task force and the congressional members to go forward and bring that information forward eventually.
You have really pushed for more transparency and more acceptance of military pilots who have been for years, pilots like yourself, who saw and recorded things and said this is not normal, this is not natural. And many pilots who felt intimidated about reporting what they were seeing. Has that changed at all, Ryan?
It is changing. There still is a lot of the institutional stigma and the lack of the proper reporting channels. But at safeaerospace.org, we have aircrew professionals reporting to us every day about what they are seeing. And there is still much concern about where these are from, what the national security implications and what the safety implications of them are. And while I know David Grush's conversations will be more focused on what the government may have retrieved or understand about this topic, we can't forget that this is something that people have to deal with on a daily basis. Yeah,
no kidding. Getting reports every day from pilots, both military and commercial, that's really something. Ryan Graves, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
A psionic person is someone with the predisposition for extral, temporal, you could say, abilities and sensitivities.
Also known as psychic powers.
In the program, there was certainly a desire to explore the idea that perhaps UAP could be summoned, could be communicated with, could be controlled, and could be persuaded to land, all by deploying people with psionic abilities.
Don Paul, another decorated Special Forces operator and colleague of Jake's.
I've seen them function. I know that they're capable of doing what they're doing.
That you believe there is a capacity in the human mind to somehow psychically, telepathically connect.
Yes, and I don't know if it's a byproduct, if it's something that they were born with, but there is certain people who are quantifiably, verifiably capable of this.